Welcome to the Trend Detection Podcast, powered by Siemens.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Trend Detection Podcast. I'm really pleased to have one of my colleagues on today, Gerhard Kress, who's very, very knowledgeable, as we'll find out today, about this really fantastic initiative from Siemens called the Siemens Xcelerator. And it really fits in with a lot of the stuff we're doing with Senseye Predictive Maintenance as well. So I'm really excited to sort of learn more and for Gerhard to share his expertise with us. So I guess before we start, I'll hand over to you, Gerhard, just to introduce yourself to the audience, if that's okay.
All right, thank you very much. So glad to be here on this podcast. My name is Gerhard Kress. I'm heading Siemens Xcelerator, the portfolio and technical topics around that. So my team is making sure that Siemens Xcelerator delivers to customers all the promises that we made to them, and that they get outstanding offerings and solutions that really solve their problems. And I have a background for like at least 15 years in leveraging data to provide data-enabled services and offerings across the industrial areas.
Fantastic. Yeah, and again, great to have you on board as well on the podcast, first appearance as well. So I guess just for people who may not have heard of Siemens Xcelerator, maybe you could just start and just explain what it is and what's it trying to achieve, etc.
Yeah, so Siemens is actually maybe rather unknown, but very large software company. We're actually the second biggest software company in Europe. And we were contemplating very much how can we bring software better to our customers and helping them in their digital transformation. We're seeing that all across the place, digital transformation being an issue. And so we created Siemens Xcelerator as what we call the open digital business platform to help our customers in the industrial and infrastructural areas on the digital transformation. And basically that is a couple of topics in there. We modernize our portfolio, provide an advanced augmented portfolio to our customers that's coming from Siemens, but also we actively invite partners and sellers into our environment to provide even better and larger offerings to our customers. And we try to make it all accessible in a different way through a central marketplace that's not only there to actually consume such applications, but also to learn about how others have solved business problems, to create a community of people who get the benefit of these digital solutions, and hopefully, and of course, make them enthusiastic to become customers of Siemens Xcelerator.
And on that comment about open, so an open ecosystem, how important is that? So it's not just talking about Siemens products here at all, are we? We're talking much broader than that.
Absolutely. So I personally think that the time of closed platforms should have been gone like at least 10 years ago. Maybe not everybody heard that part of the story, but I can only believe if our mission is to help our customers in the digital transformation, this is not possible by one company alone. Completely impossible. What we need to do is a variety of topics, and openness has different facets in there. The very first thing is the different offerings in that business platform need to be open themselves, because every customer has some enterprise IT environment, process driving software, an existing brownfield environment. If you can't integrate into that structure, you're probably not helpful. So it's openness of the components. Second part is, of course, in order to provide the right solutions to business problems our customers are having. So to provide the right value to our customers, to really bring something that they need. This will, in many cases, mean that we need to provide expertise, capabilities, software from various ecosystem players. Because every question we're trying to answer is a very specific vertical or regional question. If you want to produce, let's say, pharmaceuticals, the regulations to bring them quickly to market in various parts of the world are different. You need to have a player that helps you to, for example, do that right reporting to the authorities. So there will be many partners involved, and therefore we really actively pursue partners and sellers to be on board. And internally, we even have targets of that we want to have a very sizable portion of our offerings not coming from Siemens.
Really?
And then, of course, openness means also that in the way, how do we allow others to work with software from us and from partners This means that we provide functional modules in their functionalities as well as their data in such a way that people can deal with that. And this means, for example, not just having an API that opens up data streams, but also providing the semantics or ontologies to that so that you know what the data actually means. Because that we allow others, be it our customers, be it integrators, be it partners, to leverage that information in a much better way.
That's so interesting that, yeah, like I said, that there's actually targets placed on that as well. I mean, that's really showing the customer sort of centric approach of all this. Was there? I know when that was discussed, was it always the plan to include partners and external parties as well, or is it sort of evolved, just naturally evolved that way?
Well, I mean, it's not the first time we're thinking about these topics, and in my history, I've created myself an open platform before in the rail space that really brought in partially even competitors on the same platform. And our CEO, Roland Busch, is very, very clear on that. He is a very clear believer of ecosystems and of open platforms and bringing in partners on board. So he gave us very clear guidance, but it's a mental change in the organization. When you are very successful in your current business, providing hardware and software products to customers, suddenly opening up to a partner, giving away pieces of that cake because we know the cake is going to be bigger for all of us in the end. That is a cultural change. And one of these things was that our CEO almost forced our top 200 managers to go through an ecosystem training with Marshall van Alsten. And we have another, I think, 5,000 or 6,000 people that went through an online version of that internally for a training. So it was made very clear from the tone from the top, the future is in open business platforms. Only then you can start that internal change. And I mean, just providing this platform to our customers is one thing, but getting ready internally that we believe that we approach it the right way, and that we give these opportunities also to our partners and sellers, it's a mental change, a culture change, and that needed to be started from the top. So therefore, these targets are important, because if we don't take it serious, it's not going to happen.
No, exactly. I like that ethos that it sort of benefits all, doesn't it? It benefits the customer, it benefits Siemens, it benefits the partners, so the whole ecosystem. It's not about one over the other anymore, and we have to sort of work together on that. I guess another part of this as well, a big word that we use in the Senseye world as well, is all about scalability and how, not just deploying technologies, but scaling that, across plants and across the enterprise as well. How does sort of Siemens Xcelerator, enable that as well?
So, I mean, Siemens comes from a product world, which in itself scales a lot because you sell the same component, the same piece of hardware, the same piece of software to many people. So we're looking really into the case that we're saying in Siemens Xcelerator, we try to provide a solution to a business problem because we're looking at business problems that many customers are having in a similar way. We are neither set up nor are we also pursuing one-off things that happen only once. There are other companies who can do it really much better, and we're happily bringing those ones in as partners. But we're looking at what are cases we're seeing with many customers that we need, where we have a capability to change that. So, give an example: the whole question of predictive maintenance on machinery. That's what Senseye has been doing for a long time, making sure that on systems in production lines, we can guarantee that we see things up from before they fail, that we can actually, in the end, increase uptime. That's a question everybody's having in the production side. Another thing that we could be focusing on, for example, is a topic where we say there's specific production processes, we have simulation tools, and therefore, for, let's say, a spray dryer, we can actually change the way it's engineered and automated, so you can do the same output at better reliability and much lower energy consumption. But you provide a simulation together with the expertise and how you actually automate and manage that system. So these are questions we see, they are happening for many of our customers. Or what I did myself in the rail space, can we make sure that failures don't happen out on the tracks, that you can actually pre-plan them and change your complete maintenance process structure? Because you basically take these maintenance activities when your train comes to the depot, and you treat them like backlog items, and therefore you can guarantee uptime and availability, which means the customer needs less trains to do the same journeys. So these are things that we see all across the place, similar problems, and those ones we're focusing our R&D on. And but of course, still, every customer needs some uniqueness in their solution because they have their own processes. They have a different philosophy how they produce or operate or whatever. And for that, we also actively search for partners that do these adaptations that need to be done at the end. But we are not the best ones for that. And therefore, we actively also there engage partners. And what we see today is from our use cases we have on Siemens Xcelerator Marketplace, more than a quarter have more than one partner involved already.
Yeah. Is there? Yeah, so I was thinking, is the majority of the projects involving Accelerator? That was a good question, actually. How many partners and Siemens products are generally involved? Is it 5? Is it 10? Is it? Maybe it's hard to say exactly. If you
That's a
vary, can't
different
it? But
question. Like, if I'm taking, let's say, as a Siemens product, Team Center, yeah, Team Center is an application suite in itself, so that's probably a whole PLM processing, very different than if I say I have, let's say, the robotic library that we have on automation. So it's a bit difficult, but we see usually between 2 and 6 or 7 components in there. That's sort of what I'm roughly seeing. And we're seeing very often content partners, so providing extra application functionalities or certain logic elements. And we're seeing a lot of integration and deployment partners. Because you must not forget, whenever you have a software in the industrial space, all our customers have an existing landscape. It's not that they build a factory completely from scratch. They will have machinery that might be anything from brand new to 20, 25 years old. They have electrical systems that provide power to those machineries that might have been built, I don't know, a decade ago. They have a building environment with, let's say, air conditioning, temperature control that can be anything from brand new to old, and any type of vendor that provides equipment in those OT networks. That integration needs to take place. Somebody needs to do that. And also for that, we're actively engaging not only ourselves, but also partners. And we are providing for partners what I would call sort of recipes or guidelines. Okay, if you want to integrate this, that's the best way to do that. Because we want our partners to be successful.
exactly. And I guess I think you've touched upon it there, Gerhard. But how does this work in practice? Because I guess if from thinking from the outside, if someone was considering 6 or 7 different partners and Siemens and others all working together, how does that actually work in practice and getting everyone singing off the same hymn sheet?
Well, it's a little bit like herding cats, of course. And the problem is the same way with partners as big as it's actually the problem internally. Yeah? And of course, I mean, the thing is, of course, also partners are competing with each other. Just let's say we have a specialized integration partner that focuses on food and beverage industry somewhere in Central Europe. Well, there might be more than one of those. And of course, the question is, we will never choose just one. And the reality is the customer might have yet another partner they like to work with. And then the question is, can we onboard them quickly? So the way we're doing that is, on one hand side, we make clear what the expectations are that we have towards partners. And we also make clear that there will never be only one partner for one topic. We cannot guarantee this. It's impossible. The second thing is that and we say this up front, I mean, partners will be also competing as we are competing with some of their offers or with other competitors in the market. That is the rule of the game. We are providing them, let's say, a frame contractual thing that is not too much closing them in somewhere. And we're providing them the information on tooling in an open way, on deployment scenarios. So a big part of that is now we just launched it. When was it? 5 6 months ago, or 5 months ago, the developer portal, developer Siemens.com, where all the information is accessible. We provide them even spaces where they can test out APIs and things like this. Because if that information is open and available, then we have a good area where they can all do their best, and nobody feels like that they're somebody has preferred access to information, something like this. No, we don't. We try to help them. Additionally, what we of course do in certain areas, we select some partners to create installations or projects that can then be marketed from our side as well, to showcase how successful you can be. In certain markets where we don't have yet that presence, we are actually trying to make a partner especially successful, so that we can actually have that beacon out there, and showcase to others that this is really something cool. So we have, for example, in talk about pharmaceutical industry, we're working with an EPC. They're now also creating software environments. It's a company in Austria called Zeta, and they have now enabled a common customer, Loba, biochemical production facility, to produce in a new way and a lot more efficient than before, leveraging software from us, but also from our competitors. And yes, this is something we even put in our own success stories, because we made the customer more successful by providing an open and level playing field. And we needed this partner at Zeta, because without their expertise in pharmaceutical companies, we could not have provided that element. And we learned from that collaboration, what do we need to change on our software side to make it actually easier, so that in the end it's not just Loba out there being successful, but we want to have 100 customers that leverage such capabilities and can be successful.
And it just brings to mind to me, like thinking about through a Senseye lens as well, because all these things we're saying about fitting in within existing structures. It's like products like Senseye, it's almost designed to do that, right? We're not saying you need to rip out everything you've done and install lots of new things. It's actually leveraging existing investments. But what I really like about Xcelerator, it's taken that step further. It's actually collaborating. Is that what you're saying? I guess collaborating with your competitors in certain situations to deliver the value to the customer.
Absolutely. So for me, the only really important question is, can we provide customer value? If customers perceive value, then this is good. Collaborating with anybody and not creating customer value is never good. If it's a good friend or a competitor, doesn't make any sense in that regard anyway. So if there is, in the end, customers are having, or all our customers are competing on their own grounds. There are usually great companies, because otherwise they wouldn't be around anymore. All our customers are trying to solve their main problems, and the world got a lot more complex over the last couple of years, and we're seeing that, especially the production world. So everything we can do to help our customers being successful is a good move for business, for them, as well as for our partners and for us. So therefore, if we can provide jointly with a partner business value to a customer, that is good. If that business value is replicable, so we can do this for many of our customers, that's even better.
Absolutely. And in terms of what I really like is it's you're not restricting. You're not having one preferred supplier for each. For one for deployment, one for integration, etc. It's much more open for that. But what's sort of the criteria for if there's companies out there who want to be part of this ecosystem? I can see why they would. Is there rules, and I'm sure there's guidelines of who would fit in better than others, but can you share sort of some of that?
Yeah, of course. So basically, there's some rules and requirements around the companies and about the offerings they bring there. So, but in the end, it really boils down to, are you or is the partner a company that we would be willing to do business with? So this means basic things around legal compliances and we of course want to protect ourselves from reputational damages. So we don't want to have people where we are sure are not going to deliver something to customers properly. So I would say, is our partner a trustworthy company to work with? That's the first question. And of course, one thing we do impose is, do they take cybersecurity as an important topic? Because the single biggest threat on digital transformation for our customers is cybersecurity. So if somebody says, I have no cybersecurity policy, that will have a couple of discussions following afterwards, because that is not a good starting ground. But I think that should be sort of standard. On the offering, of course, then we say it needs to be integratable with the other offerings. So we move a lot of stuff to the cloud or to edge devices. If you're coming with a solution that's 50 years old, on-premise, monolithic, it will be no fun to integrate, and that is probably not going to make a lot of economic sense. And of course, we do a cybersecurity assessment on that, and we encourage a couple of technical governance rules that basically say we. In the end, they boil down to three topics. The one topic is you should federate with an identity player on standards, let's say industry standards, because we want to have a single sign-on experience for our users. That's a pretty. We're using industry standard protocols there, so that is usually not a problem. That's more a question of man hours than anything else. And a few man hours that you need to invest in this. The second big part is we say, well, we open APIs. We encourage our partners to also put their APIs in our API world, but that's not. It doesn't have to be. And yes, we do have a conversation on a cybersecurity discussion because we want to be sure that we don't create additional risk for our customers. And we put it up more into form of training. So we even offer cybersecurity services for our partners if they want to, because if we can help them to improve, that's going to add value. I mean, Siemens created a while ago the Charter of Trust organization, or was co-creating this organization, because we believe in the industrial world and the minimal level of cybersecurity is essential. And I'm so happy that we have big companies in there like Bosch, for example, as another big German industrial, or Airbus, or Atos, and so on. It's a group of 15 or 20 companies that jointly have a similar outlook on what needs to be done. Even though we're competing, but we still know that this is, for me, the common ground. So, but basically, there's not a lot of rules out there, and it's pretty standard. So if you provide software that's state of the art, you have no issues whatsoever.
No, exactly, because I guess ultimately companies and products, if they want to partner with it, a lot of them will have these cybersecurity. They'll be working with big customers and will have these cybersecurity measures in place already, right? So it's not asking for much extra, but the idea of a joint charter is very powerful as well.
Yeah. And by the way, I mean, when we took our technical governance and then we actually we tested them before we launched them with a couple of partners, and the interesting thing was the comment I got from, we had a lot of explanation why we need this, and the comment from all the partners was, why are you explaining the necessity of this for so long? Cut it down. And the other comment was, okay, we get it, but where is the technical information behind that? Put the links in directly. Yeah. So there was never a question of why we do that. If you look at what we ask for, this is industry standard. I mean, for example, on the API guidelines, it's open API guidelines, with the one exception that breaking changes are just a lot more painful industrial environment, because the applications live for so long. So we massively discourage any breaking change. That's the only add-on we brought in there. So we try to play by industry standards. Why should we try to reinvent the world? Let's piggyback on something that makes sense. What we want us and our partners to focus on is, let's get good applications that deliver value, and let's not reinvent wheels, because they're all going to be turn out to be around. Yeah?
Absolutely.
There's no value in that part.
No, there's not. I agree completely. I guess I'm conscious of time already. I'm always saying this on the podcast. It just flies by in no time at all. But it's so interesting, some of these themes. But what I wanted to end on is I guess two things. I mean, and first of all, really, such an exciting sort of proposition, and sounds, from an end customer perspective, the opportunity there to sort of, you can imagine all the challenges it solves with so many different products and bringing them together and achieving digital transformation or pushing forward on that journey. But if someone today was a company was I hope there's a few companies considering engaging with Siemens Xcelerator, and how would they sort of go about doing that? What would be their sort of first steps to doing that?
So I mean, on if they're coming from the customer side, the best place would be Accelerator Siemens.com, our marketplace, to actually explore what's out there. And we have a variety also of pages where you can really go in through that business problems that you're facing by industries, because of course that's the most meaningful approach. If you're coming in as a partner, there is we call it seller portal. So basically, in order to make that really open and easy and also very clear in the communication, we implemented tooling around that. You go, you basically apply. There's some very basic checks where we also guarantee how fast we're going to do that, and sort of can we engage? And then really it goes into what do you want to bring to the table? What's your value proposition? What are you offering as a partner? A partner without any offerings sort of doesn't really make much sense, because how should that lead to business? But then our partners and sellers can actually manage their profile and all the offerings completely on their own, because why should we describe what they are? They can do it better. And there's a very open and transparent process, so they can see where in that process they are, when things are getting published on the marketplace, and so on. So these are the two entry places. It's the marketplace itself for our customer side. There's the part for sellers and partners, our seller portal. And if you're a developer, there's developer Siemens.com, which shows everything really from a developer's perspective. There you're going to see all the in-depth API documentation, the playgrounds, and whatever else developers need, and the tooling that we provide. So these are the Indian three entry ways that really make sense.
Yeah, and I guess just a question on that. So if a customer's using sort of systems that maybe or software that isn't on the Xcelerator platform, but they want to work with Xcelerator, there's some of the products on there. Is that possible as well? It's not excluding.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, what we're seeing from our customers is every customer has an existing brownfield installation, yeah? And our promise is we help the customers to pick them up where they are and help them on their digital transformation. And if they happen to be already a Siemens customer, let's say they're in automation, they're having the TIA portal, we actually bring things that directly integrate there and try to move forward and bring it further. And we showcased at Hanover Fair a couple of these cases, actually two scenarios reaching the same goal, one being a sort of greenfield customer, one being a brownfield customer that has stuff that was in there for already 20 years. And we showed both how that moved forward. If they're not on the Siemens side, we also have tools around that and help. But then, of course, it gets a bit more diverse. There's not one simple answer. Going to be a few answers that are possible. But how can we help the customer to also leverage these capabilities and move ahead? So absolutely, because we know all our customers have some installed base. Nobody can afford today to do a floor sweep. I think the more interesting discussion is either through self-assessments or through maybe a small consulting discussion also, which topics would have the biggest impact for a customer. Because what we also see very often is customers saying, well, I could buy all of this, but what's creating the biggest impact for me now? Where should I focus my investment on? And that is nothing that you can do just by reading up. So we're providing self-assessment guides for simple topics. And if your topic is larger, then we have consultants or some of our pre-sales experts that would then engage in discussion and say, what would help you?
Yeah.
Because in the end, I think that the question is, can we deliver something to our customers that really help them now, that provides tangible benefit, has a good ROI, and then from there on, they can enlarge and take on more things. What is their real crucial problem right now? And that we need to identify.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And I guess, and I get to my second question, and this will be the final question, as I know we're slightly tight on time now, but it's more about the future, because I mean, so much has been sort of developed and achieved already. Everything you've described today, Gerhard, is amazingly impressive. But I guess the question is, what's sort of next on the roadmap for Siemens Xcelerator? Where's it going next?
Well, I think one of the things that we have done and started is we have started really, as I said before, modernizing our application, make them open, modular. We have defined these 5 design principles: as a service, open, interoperable, flexible, and cyber secure. So by the end of the calendar year, we're going to have the majority of our legacy portfolio already in these new versions, the Carrion X, also on the market. So that will be a good step. This means you can focus more on creating what I would call scalable solutions that really address a business problem and scale from there. We are providing more functionalities and modules that our customers can use. So we have invested a lot over the last years into, for example, AI modules, trying to make them more accessible in our applications. To we're not going to be an AI vendor, but we're going to leverage AI to provide better applications. So focus on improving the applications in their both performance as well as their feature sets. What can a customer really get from that? And a big investment that we're doing around the parts of what we call the industrial metaverse, basically saying how can we help our customers better to leverage digital tools to make the real world better? This means more integration of existing tools. This means bringing in simulation and digital twins together with an understanding of the configuration and condition of a real world asset so that you can optimize the design of processes, but also when you have already deployed processes, optimize when there's changes or disruptions coming on the side. So that will be a big part. And the next layer on top will be learning and driving learning across customers. What has solved certain problems? Can we transfer experience and knowledge? That's what I said before in Siemens Xcelerator. We also have these communities. They're going to be more and more important, where customers can learn from each other. And one thing that you've seen already, maybe is Seagreen is a solution that we brought out there, where you look at carbon footprint across your whole supply chain, and we open it up in such a way that it's not Siemens centric, and that you can provide information without providing or opening up trade secrets, but you do want to know, for example, what's the carbon footprint of your supply chain and of the companies you're buying from, and you want to do that in a reliable way. So we created not only the software, but an association around it that helps to keep the data away from Siemens in such a way that everybody can participate. And we're going to see more of these topics when we understand better how they provide a real value for our customers. So that's what you're going to see the next couple of years. More, I would say, customer-centric. And of course, closing the gaps we have on functionalities and closing the gaps we have where we still have legacy software, replace that by modern software over the next couple of years.
Yeah. So, I guess in summary there, so especially that example of sustainability, it's a topic for us all, not even just in business, but professionally as well. So again, that fits perfectly the ethos that we've all got to work together on this. There's no point being siloed, no point keeping stuff under our hats. It's better to share, so it benefits all, and that sort of comes full circle what we were talking about today. Yeah.
And I think that's where you're also going to see the real big value in the end of the digital transformation, because data is a certain way of, I would call it, universal currency in this discussion. So when you digitize, you get more and more data accessible, and you can use it internally for your own processes, for example, to recover quicker from an outage, to prevent outage, and so on. But you can also use that, for example, to provide data to your suppliers, so that they can actually guarantee you a better delivery or prioritize better on their side, so you can work around disruptions in an easier way. And we've seen examples of that a lot. And there's many ways how you can then in the end monetize data. And not all of that includes direct money flows. It includes sometimes value promises you give or take that help you to provide a better product or a better service to your customer. So that's we're going to see a lot. And if you only take this information to really run a few tools and software, you're going to pass out on a big value that's out there that's possible.
Yeah, and that's a nice way to end our conversation, Gerhard. Nice note to finish on. So yeah, no, thank you so much again for taking the time to explain this. Actually, so we'll obviously the best way to find out more about Xcelerator, I guess, is through the website. So we'll provide the link to that in the show notes. But besides that, thank you, Gerhard, for your time, and thank you everyone for listening as well. And see you on the next episode.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please like and subscribe on all major podcast channels and find out more about Senseye Predictive Maintenance at Siemens.com.